This week on Supercars Talk, we've got some answers on the calendar next year, but we've also got more questions. The big news this week is that Jack Perkins will be sitting out the Super 2 round in Adelaide. He's decided that without being in championship contention, they haven't had a really good year this year, and the main reason he was doing Super 2 was to prepare himself for Sandown and Bathurst. He's decided he's going to sit out the championship finale in Adelaide. Not unprecedented, this one, because he did sit out the second race at Bathurst after qualifying poorly so he could focus on the big race. But the good news with this, the car will still be entered in Adelaide. It will be Jordan Boys at the wheel. Jordan, who has been doing a lot of work, even though he was with BJR for the endurance campaign there, he has been doing a lot of work with that Erebus Image Racing team. He's been training up the young guns there with Image, and obviously is an Erebus junior as well. So yeah, there is a bit of a connection there. It's not, you know, out of the water. And of course, there is the rumours that Jack will be replaced by Todd Hazelwood there as the co-driver of the other Erebus car at Sandown and Bathurst next year. Obviously, we've already had Brody's teammate Dave Russell confirmed there, but there is a bit of a question mark there as to who will be partnering with Jack LeBrock next year. The rumour is that Todd Hazelwood, their relationship from MSR last year still, will be reunited, although with a lead driver and co-driver role there. The other big news this week is that Premier had bought that the 888 wildcard that was to go to Peter Adderton before he decided to not buy it after making a big song and dance. Premier had bought it. That is the car that they used in that filming thing where they drove over the bridge in the Gold Coast promotional shots and that they might be bringing this car into service for Adelaide after Tim Slade's big crash in the Gold Coast. It didn't look like that big a crash, but they're possibly going to take their time fixing the car properly in the off-season rather than rush it and maybe not do it right. Another Gen 3 car that's had a seemingly small hit do a little bit more damage than what was intended. Anyway, we've had some news on the calendar. So some questions have been answered, but there is still bigger questions and there's some big rumours flying around as well. So what's been confirmed? We will be heading to Bathurst for round one. There will be a 10-day super festival of motorsport happening with the 12-hour. The 12-hour will be happening on the weekend. I didn't actually write it down. I think it's the second weekend in February there, and then the Bathurst 500 for supercars will be happening the third weekend. Big event if you're going to go there and hang around for it. There will be some on-track stuff apparently every day to keep it going as one big event. It will not be competitive sessions every day. I understand how we got here. Is it the best thing for the category to be having, shorter races at Bathurst? I don't think so. But I suppose as far as kicking off the season, it is it's a pretty good place to do it. I know how we got here, but I do wish it was at Newcastle, but it's apparently the doors are open for it to still happen in the future, but there's rumours going around that it might be moved to another suburb that's more inland. yeah, there's just a lot of talk at the moment. There's talk that they might be ripping up the pavement around the car park and making some changes there where the hairpin is towards the end of the circuit, and we will not be able to have the same track layout even if they go back there. But yeah, the fact of the matter is we won't be going to Newcastle next year, and it will not. The opening round will be at Bathurst. Now, as for the rest of the calendar, it's starting to definitely take shape. Some events have been announced when they will be. The big question mark at the moment is whether we will stay at 12 rounds or go to 13. The bend has not been confirmed as yet. I think the big sticking point at the moment is that with the TV contract, the payout is for 12 rounds, and then if you go 13 or 14 rounds, the payout does not get any larger, so that means less revenue for Supercars and the teams to do those couple of extra events. If we go to 15 events for the year, apparently then the payout from the TV contract does increase, which starts to make it worthwhile again to do those events. Now, the bend is in a hard place because that's the Shahins organising that and paying a fee to Supercars. So Supercars does not get revenue from ticket sales, etc. So I think the sticking point on that one is the amount that the Shahins are willing to pay for the Supercars to come to the bend, considering there isn't any more TV revenue coming in. What I'm finding strange though is that there is currently a rumour going around that we might be doing an end of season non-championship race in Qatar as part of the Grand Prix support program. Now, so if you do that, you're at 13 events. If you do the bend, you're at 14 events. If you just slot in a Winton or Queensland Raceway, you're at 15 events. So all of a sudden you get your prop up in TV revenue. Now, I'm not organising this, etc. But if we're going to all the trouble of organising something that's going to happen in Qatar, and essentially the Shahins, Supercars, everyone wants to go to the bend, so we're at 14, then how much harder is it going to be to find a weekend to either slot in at Queensland Raceway or Winton? Let's not get into the Phillip Island argument here, but a more straightforward, Winton or Queensland Raceway, I think will be easy to slot in. Obviously, the teams use it as a test track, which, speaking of that, there won't be an all-in test next year at Sydney Motorsport Park like we have seen most years prior. The Queensland teams will be testing at Queensland Raceway for an all-in Queensland team test, and the Victorian teams will be going to Winton for an all-in Victorian team test, which is a little bit different to previous years. But you'd expect with the teams testing at those tracks, they're ready to host a Supercars event, so it shouldn't be a big thing to add that to the calendar. And then of course we get to the 15 events, and we don't have the issues like we're having this year where even, we've got a little bit of momentum going at the end of the season, but we have Bathurst, 3-week gap before Gold Coast, and then a 3-week gap before Adelaide, which I think is too long at the end of the year. I know it did feel like you were going Bathurst bang into the Gold Coast when it was only two weeks later, but it keeps that momentum going. If we could even just kind of condense that later part of the calendar where you have Bathurst, 2 weeks later you go to Gold Coast, 2 weeks later you go to Adelaide, so it just keeps a bit of that momentum rolling, which we seem to lose a lot of that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on where the calendar should go. Unfortunately, I think the Qatar thing is probably a little bit rumourish at the moment, and that's probably more a 2025 thing, not a 2024 thing. And then also, if they are talking about going to Singapore as part of the championship as well, then all of a sudden you're adding that in, and you can easily drop, say, that Winton or Queensland Raceway off if you want to keep it at the 15 events. But I definitely, the gaps are too big in the championship for me. I think we need to add in a couple of events and condense the calendar a little bit to keep a bit of that momentum going. But that's my thoughts. I'm not the one organising it, although I would love to be involved. Unfortunately, I'm not. Anyway, down in the comments, let me know what you think. A little bit of a teaser up there. I did go to the Diecast Model Expo over the weekend. I will have a bit of a video up about that, and then I picked myself up a special model there. But yeah, let me know what you think. Until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.